Hello everyone, Free here. Welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about an extension to TensorFlow, which is TensorFlow Hub. The whole space of machine learning and data science is really reaching a tipping point where the tools that are available are becoming so capable, and there is a need to build on the tribal knowledge of what people have done already. So TensorFlow Hub built on TensorFlow, and this is what we're seeing here on the screen. It's a repository that allows you to search and to reuse trained machine learning models. Having been in this space and watched the space grow and mature, a lot of people that are data scientists, there is a certain pride, there is a certain gravitas if you train your own model to do a task. So object recognition or image boundary detection or classification, you name it, whatever the challenge is. But we're also getting to the point where the low level stuff, so the grassroots actually training of models for very common tasks has been solved for a lot of scenarios. And it's to the point where if you're going to do some machine learning or data science, instead of having to reinvent the wheel, the proverbial way of saying that, why don't you just reuse a wheel that has already been created and then build from there? And that's really where the industry is going. And is that push. Again, it's not to say people shouldn't train their own models, but a lot of models have been trained, and being able to reuse that is going to add a lot of value to allow people to use trained models to solve problems versus trying to train models from scratch. So I think that's the whole promise of TensorFlow Hub. Here, you can check it out. There is a bunch of models there. And what this reminds me of is like Python. So if you think about if you've programmed in Python, you can go low level and implement your own libraries in Python and not use the out of the box libraries. But do you really want to do that, right? Because Python comes with tons and tons of libraries and packages you can import. And from a programming perspective, we've come to accept that if you're writing a piece of program, find the libraries and the packages that are available out there and reuse them instead of creating it from scratch. So that maturity we see in programming is what I see coming to machine learning, where people are going to start finding models and having this model marketplace, a marketplace of buying or reusing machine learning models, so you don't have to reinvent the wheel from scratch. And TensorFlow Hub is one of them. There is Hugging Face. I just stumbled on this. I'm not extremely familiar with it, but it seems to be this community of people finding and reusing models that have already been trained. So you're not having to do the heavy lifting. Then you can build on those models. But what we're going to see here is the TensorFlow Hub. You can come in. There is a list of models that you can look for. Let's say we want object detection. You can come in here. You can see the model for object detection. Now, a lot of the models will come with documentation and even, and this was really cool to see, even a notebook that you can just open and use if you wanted to take advantage of this model. So there was one that I stumbled upon. Let's search for this particular model. This is open image. It's been pre-trained on ImageNet. We know one of the biggest image libraries out there. It's a CNN ConvNet. And we can actually go ahead and open this up in Google Colabs, which is a notebook. So here there is documentation. It does image detection. So you can either try to write your own model to do image detection, but if somebody has done it already, why reinvent the wheel? That's really the point of this, right? Now, you might have, say, you're trying to detect cancer or you're trying to detect something in the colon. Now, you might require a specialized trained model for your specific use case. But for run of the mill applications, there are models that have been built out there. And if you're trying to solve a problem, I would always start to say, has somebody done this already? And how can I reuse that? So opening up that notebook, we come in here. It's a pretty vanilla notebook. And the beauty about it is this is 2018 Apache license. And we're going to go ahead and run this and see what it does. So here it's just going to go ahead and import some libraries. TensorFlow Hub takes a few minutes to run. And we're just going to step through that. So that run. And then next thing, let's go ahead and let's go ahead And so there are some helper functions included here. If we run those helper functions, I think let's just do it one more time. All right, run pretty quick, just basic helper functions, and this is the model that's being used, a TTF. So here is the image. So there is an image that it's going to use to detect objects on that image. So let's run that to download, and you can actually see the image. If we go to this URL on Wikipedia, if it allows me to go there, so that's the image coming from Wikipedia. All right, so it's downloaded the image, and here it's gonna uh, bring the model. So this is the model handler function. So bear with me, it's gonna bring that model and get it ready for us to do detection. And then the next step here, we're just gonna load the image from the path above, and then do detection on top. All right, so pretty cool. Um, just imagine you're trying to build a new app, or your organization has a bunch of images and you're trying to classify them or detect things within those images. Why reinvent the wheel? Why try to go from scratch? Right now, if there are cases where you really have the motivation to go from scratch, but my submission is that for a lot of cases, folks don't really need to go from scratch. So this takes a few minutes to run, and when it runs, we're not training the model now. We're just reusing something that has been trained. Right? That's the beauty. uh, Using the wheel instead of reinventing the wheel. So let's just give it a few minutes for this to run, and we're gonna take it from there. All right, so that took a few minutes. It ran. The model now is handy, so we're gonna go ahead and load the image from the path and get that ready to do some work. Now the image has been loaded. So that basically there's a function to load that image. We've implemented that function. So now we're just gonna go ahead and call the run detector, which is gonna load the image and then detect things on the image. So let's run this piece, and that is set. Well, we're defining the function there, so let's actually call the function. Now it's gonna run the detector on that image. It takes about a minute or so, and that should be done. So let's pause the video and then come back. It doesn't take too long to detect what's on that image. All right, so that did run and completed successfully, and you can see it's doing some boundary and object identification here within the image. So here it sees trees, it sees chair, and the percentage of probability of that on the table. So it sees a bunch of things. It doesn't see a person here, but there is a person. But you get the idea. And now, if you're going to be classifying or your images, or if there's sensitive information here, and you have thousands and thousands of these images, you can take action. So it detected over 100 objects within this image in just less than 5 minutes of us running this by reusing models that have been pre-trained. So pretty powerful. Now I do have an image here from one of my trips that we can take advantage of. So this is somewhere on not too long ago trip, and just to show how easy this is, I can go back here and replace that image with the URL to my new image. And I'm just going to go ahead and load that. So my new image will be downloaded and available. So that's the new image. And now we don't need to go back and reload the model since we have that already. So we can just go and rerun our detector on it and see what gets detected. I'm not gonna pause this just so we can see how it runs in real time. So pretty quick, right? So here it says a human face, 13%, a person, which is pretty cool, footwear, a tree. I don't know if there's a tree there. Um, I don't know. Actually, I don't know if there's a tree. I was expecting to say a desert, but this is not actually a desert. I'm not gonna call where this is. I'm hoping folks can guess where this is. But pretty interesting. So imagine if you are in advertisement or marketing or healthcare, whatever the use case is, and you have tons and tons of images, security, even leveraging a pre-trained model like this, your team can do what would take months or not even years to do. You can be up and running with something like this pretty quick. So very powerful. Just thought I'll recommend this, and or not, let me not say recommend. I thought I would just surface this up. So if you are in the machine learning space, AI space, or you're just very interested and curious about it the way I am, this might be something that you want to pay attention to. So the next you have a project, somebody says, "Hey, go do this work." Um, I would always say, "Well, has somebody done this already?" Right? Whether you're talking about classification, feature vectors, generation, audios, embedding, classification, you name it. I think there are so many options here. Text is one that's so common these days that yeah, a lot of people have use cases around text, right? So embedding here, you can come find a model that's useful to you and then use that as your starting point. So does this one have a notebook? Maybe not, right? So some do have a notebook, but it seems like some don't have a notebook. Now, is this free or paid? I'm not sure. TensorFlow is really a product from Google, so I don't know what the licenses are around this to use it commercially. But that's something that if it's interest to you, you might want to check out more around that. So TensorFlow Hub is what we're gonna talk about today. Is what we've talked about today. Hugging Face is another alternative. Again, I haven't played with this more, but it seems to give you that same experience of you coming, searching for a model, and then being able to take that model. I believe the models in GitHub. So let's see. This is not a good example, but I believe use in transformers. So this is a code that you can use, and you're up and ready to go. So hopefully this was helpful. Subscribe if you haven't. This has been through with TensorFlow Hub coming today, and I'll see you in our next video.